So when we set up our processing sketch, the first thing we need to do is create a setup function. And a setup function is one that only runs once. For the purposes of what we're doing in this class, we don't need to create a draw loop. We're just going to have our functions run once so we can see them work. And this word void is a command inside the Java language that is sort of akin to this word function. So we're going to say void setup followed by 2 parentheses and then curly brackets. And you'll notice that if I left this open, it'll give me an error and it'll say, hey, I think you're missing a right curly bracket. Our curly bracket is holding down shift and pressing on the keys either directly next to the letter P. You'll see these curly brackets there. And notice that when I hover next to this curly bracket, it shows me that this one's closed. So whenever you open one has to be closed. The first thing that we do inside processing is set up a size of our document. And it's really easy because we can say size, which is a function, which takes 2 parameters. And so I want to think, okay, if I have a document, I'm going to set it up to be, let's do 400 pixels by 400 pixels. And then every statement, for the most part, ends with a semicolon. And if I had that deleted, I'll see a line down here that says, hey, I think you're missing a semicolon. So I'm going to do semicolon. And now if I press play, you'll see that it'll make a little gray square that is 400 pixels by 400 pixels. This is the width and this is the height. So this function called size takes 2 arguments, a width and a height. So if I said 600 by 600 and run this again, I'll get another one where now it's 600 pixels by 600 pixels. I can press stop to close it out. And then notice how this is a gray square. This is the default. So I want to give it a color. So for example, if I wanted a white background, I could do background 255. Now, looking at this, you may say, okay, how did you know that that was 255? Well, let's go to Illustrator for a second. Illustrator, when we're inside the color window, we're looking at an RGB color scale here. 0, 0, 0. And we see this color of black. And we could do something like this. We'll flip it. So we're looking at this here. I'm going to get rid of the stroke. So here we go. I've got this shape that is totally black. And it's 0, 0, 0. If I put all of these to 255 all the way at the end, I'm going to see a color scale of white. 255, 255, 255. So I can think about this as being RGB values. 255, when you just write it once inside the background, that means it's going to apply just one variable, either full white or full black. So if I want to draw this black, I would type in 0, Control R to do to run the sketch, and I'll see it comes up as totally black. If I go back here, totally black. But I could also do 3 variables, R, G, and B. So background can also take 3 arguments. So if I did 255, 0, and 0, I'm going to get red. Because when I look back at Illustrator, R is 255, G is 0, blue is 0. Here I would get purple. Here I would get yellow. So let's see, 255, 255, 0. Let's go back here and run this again. And now I'm going to see that creates yellow. So just because it can take, so fills work this way, stroke colors work this way, but the background also works this way. So this is size and background. And I'm going to change this back to white for a second. Just like that. So that's the basics of setting up your screen space. Let's now look at creating shapes.